Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. I'm reading for Libra energy today and I'm kind of doing a kind of 2022 into 2023 reading. So a little bit of like what lessons have we learned, what are we leaving behind, what are we taking on going forward, what are we looking forward to, and all that kind of stuff. So a transition reading, if you will. Libra, you've had this kind of feeling of duality a lot in your last readings. This feeling of it's almost like being in multiple places at the same time, kind of like spreading, get a bit like Voldemort, right? Not in a bad way though, like a bit like Voldemort, like your energy is kind of like maybe spread thin. Maybe it's just talking about kind of like being in a lot of places, doing a lot of things, trying to please a lot of people. Maybe you've got multiple jobs, but it's coming through energetically, almost like yeah, it's like you're in multiple places at once. This is the third time I've done your reading because I've struggled to kind of get the message through in a coherent way, because it is a bit of an out there one, but it's kind of coming through this multi-dimensionality, kind of like kind of spanning time and space, kind of the idea of like existing on multiple planes at once. Now, this is coming in specifically with this rainbow energy, which I'm going to come back to. But you know how like light fractures into all the different colors of the rainbow. It's like looking at the pure white light and being able to see the it's like being able to like it's like taking a situation and instead of taking it on face value, you're kind of like breaking it up into all its component parts is the way that I'm seeing it with kind of like the light of the rainbow. So it's like this kind of like going into detail perhaps, or just I'll come back to it. I don't know. I don't want to get too stuck on anything for too long. So what else do I have? I'm just gonna get my notes. You do have this very high priestess energy to your readings, or priest energy. You've got the Hierophant card a couple of times. It keeps coming out for you. Again, this is the third time I've attempted to do your reading. And you perhaps feeling very, very connected to God, right? Or perhaps feeling very spiritual in whatever way that makes sense to you, right? I'm not talking about any specific religion or scripture, but just feeling very, very connected to, it's coming through with connected to the afterlife. Again, I'm going to kind of like circle around back to that. Yeah, like even literally, so hang on, I've just got so many cards. Right, okay, what I need to tell you is your reading is massive. I can't pull the arm of my camera back far enough to get the whole reading into view. So you can see up to this journey card, there's actually 3 more rows to the left of that because it's this massive spread. And I've got like the underlying cards and everything. So you've got like the priest card in my own deck, which is kind of like how I tune into your energy. The first time I tried to do your reading, you had the priestess card, so you're really strongly coming through this kind of like priestess energy. Maybe you are a priest or a priestess, maybe you do tarot card readings yourself, maybe you do just feel like you are able to channel information, like esoteric information. You're able to maybe psychically pull in information from beyond the kind of mortal realm. However you want to see that, you seem like a fulcrum. Like that word comes out quite a lot for you. This kind of like fulcrum, or like a dial on a radio, right? Like a tuning cog between this reality and the universe. So maybe some of you do see yourselves as being, you know, you do consider yourself to be psychic or very intuitive, or something like that. I want to say this reading is absolutely confirming that. I want to also say that you don't actually need a reading, is the way it's coming through, even though you've got so many cards. I feel like the reading for you, Libra, is just going to be a validation that you're not going mad. I mean, I can't, I'm not qualified to say whether you are or are not mad, right? Define madness. But it's like, if you've been feeling this kind of stuff, if you have been very intuitive and you're really kind of like asking yourself, can I trust this? I want to say the reading seems to be saying, confirming, yes, you are very intuitive at this time. Some of you may be Libra Scorpio cusp, because I would normally associate Scorpio with this kind of high priestess energy. You know, they're the high priestess card in the tarot. But maybe some of you are connecting with a Scorpio, perhaps a Scorpio who's on the other side. Same girl, like my mum was Scorpio. And then the thing is as well, you've got owls all all over the place. Every single reading I've done has been full of owls. Maybe it's something to do with Batman. Sometimes I channel movies. There's rumors going around that the next Batman movie is going to be called The Court of Owls, so it could just be that. But I am seeing this link with this kind of the owl being a symbol of knowledge of the afterlife, or knowledge of spirit. It's like this owl is symbolic of whatever it is that you're connecting with that is giving you information. So literally, just honestly, I can't tell you how many owls are coming through. So you've got the owl in the underlying, right? So owls, again, watch out for owls. They could be particularly symbolic for you at this time. Your reading starts for the second time with this owl card. I am not joking. The second reading I did had the card in the exact same position. It's the very first card out, and it's the very first card out for you again. Literally, owls are super important to you at this time. They're everywhere. The only other card that's like another bird, I think, is whatever this is. It's like some sort of hawk, and it's in the reverse. It's like, that's not an owl, get it out of here. You are the Queen of Swords in the tarot. This is your card, owl. Owls all over this Wheel of Fortune card. I can't believe it's like crazy how many owls are coming through. All different decks, right? I don't always get this many owls in the reading. This owl here on this guy's head, right? Where else do we have owls? I'm seeing this is the owl energy, but I'll kind of come back to that. Lots of wings. Oh, you've got like a parrot or something here as well, but where else here as well, like on this death card here as well. Don't get scared of the death card. Again, it seems to be symbolic of your connection with the afterlife. Yeah, so owls everywhere, and not a drop to eat or something. I don't know what I'm saying. Oh, on the underlying as well of this deck, another owl, the King of Swords, the counterpart to the Queen of Swords. So very, very curious. Like it seems to be a huge totem for you at this time, so definitely watch out for owls. Owl symbolism in your day-to-day life. It could be a communication from spirit. Owls I would also associate with kind of Athena energy. If you know the goddess Athena, she is the goddess of wisdom, and I associate that with this kind of like justice card energy, which again is another one of your cards in the tarot. So again, like wisdom, justice, law, all these kind of things seem to be something that you're very connected with at this time. Okay, so you also have this thing about the gate or a portal. So when I was reading for myself, I am a Libra, the other week, I had the word gate, and it was rainbow gate. And again, rainbows seem to be really, really like specifically important to this reading. So this idea of the rainbow gate, it could be something like the rainbow bridge, right? So again, if you're very connected to the afterlife at this time, or you know what's beyond our mortal life, you know, the idea of like the rainbow bridge, the rainbow gate makes a lot of sense, which, you know, I don't know, take it as you will. And portal, so you've got gate and portal, and then again you've got like the farther gate here. So there's this thing about like a gateway opening up for you. Now I was getting something intuitively that was something along the lines of this is why you're spreading yourself so thinly, right? This is why you had this in one of your readings, you had this thing about like the squirrel planting acorns. It's like if you're the oak tree, you've like carpeted your environment with all these acorns, which are like a product of you, right? It's like they contain the blueprint of you. It's like your DNA or something, right? It's like you spread your DNA. I don't know. That's going down a weird avenue. Let's roll that back in. But it's like you energetically are like you've carpeted your environment, and the reason is sort of like if you remember the reading where I was talking about how holograms, right? You have a full-size hologram, but you can break that hologram up into tiny parts, and each part will contain the whole image, right? It's like each cell of your body contains the blueprints, like your DNA of the whole. It's like you can be recreated genetically perhaps, but it's not coming through genetically, it's coming through as energetically. Like energetically, your energetic blueprint can be recreated from a like one particle of your of your whole energy. I don't know. It's I told you, it's one of those that's kind of really out there. It's like an energetic thumbnail, right? Or like an energetic thumbprint. right? It's like your energy is unique to you and it's recognizable even if there's just a droplet of it. So with this idea of like a veil of your energy, it's like when this gate opens up, or when this window opens up, or this portal or this opportunity, it's like a tiny pinprick of light, which I'll come back to. It's like you, because you're everywhere, you'll be in the right place at the right time, because there's no chance of you missing this window because you're everywhere. Does that make any sense whatsoever? So it's like you're in a prime position to move on to the next stage, or to go through this window, because there's no chance of you missing it. You've got all your bases covered, something like that. So the first thing that I got for you was this thing about fruit. I'm getting a lot of symbolism of fruit, lots of different coloured fruit. They could just be reminding you to eat your 5 a day. Again, with the rainbow, you know, people say you should eat a rainbow of fruit and vegetables every single day. You know, what would you say, like strawberries, blackberries, grapes, you know, cucumber, like one of every colour kind of thing. So it could just be reminding you to eat healthily, you know, like different nutrients in different coloured fruit. But it's also coming through with like milk and cream. And it's coming through a little bit rude. So they were showing me kind of like if you opened up like a peach or an apricot or a tangerine, it was coming through like tangerines, right? It's like the almost like the lips. I'm sorry, it's rude, but I'm trying to tell you what they're giving me, and they're showing me this as and like milk or cream. So there's some sexual imagery coming through, and this came through again, kind of completely separately in a different attempt to do your reading, where I was really focusing, and I had this feeling of like having a big pot of yogurt and like digging down in the yogurt to get to the fruit at the bottom, which was giving me Biodome. If you know the movie Biodome with Pauly Shore, he says, do you like your yogurt stirred or fruit at the bottom? And it's like some kind of sexual innuendo, but it's like it was coming through with this message of like you're trying to get to the good stuff, right? It's like you're digging to get to the good stuff. And there's a parallel with something else that I've been feeling for you in meditation. It's like being in this dense dark space, but there being a tiny pinprick of light, and it's like you're trying to, it's like the smallest pinprick of light, and it's really far away, and it's like you're having to kind of again like dial your focus to really kind of like zoom in on that pinprick of light. It could be something like if you imagine using a telescope and looking up into space, but there was only one star in the entire night sky, and so you're really trying to like use that telescope to like zoom in and kind of like really focus on that tiny pinprick of light, right? So it's like it could be symbolic for you of perhaps being in a dark space, perhaps because death is here in this reading, perhaps if you've lost someone recently, or you're just going through a really difficult period. It's like you seem to be very good at this, Libra. You seem to be really good at finding the light in the darkness. Even if it's only a tiny glimmer, you're really good at kind of like focusing in on the hope is the way it's coming through again, like because they're showing me like that tiny pinprick of light is like, as you zoom into it, you start to see all the colors of it, right? It's like it, as you, maybe it's something like microscopes, you know, like if you're using a microscope and you zoom in, you see more detail. So you really focusing, you literally have focus here on this light, and like going in and seeing all the different colors of it. Maybe it's something to do with like, maybe some of you are like working in biology or something. It's like you're looking at DNA structures, DNA strands, like, you know, like how they kind of have the double helix with all the different colored balls on. Could be something like that. But it's like there's a lot of detail to look at with this. Yeah, rainbows are a gorgeous symbol for you, because they are a symbol of hope. They are a symbol of, you know, believing that things can get better. So that's really good. And obviously like a symbol of signs from the afterlife. So perhaps you are seeing rainbows, and this is a signal for you from somebody who's passed over. You've got the song Higher Power by Coldplay and Tiesto. You've got a higher power, which absolutely is what's coming through in the cards. What else have I got? So I'm just going through my notes. I don't want to miss anything. I've told you we've got a lot, right? There's a lot that has been coming through, which has made the readings really complicated. So I'm really trying to kind of abbreviate and fine tune the messages. Maybe again, could be something, this idea of like fine tuning. Maybe you're fine tuning your psychic gifts. Maybe you're fine tuning what you do as your career. You seem to be really kind of like focusing in on something that is symbolically very hopeful for you. And kind of ignoring the darkness and tuning out the darkness. You may actually, because you feel like you're in this kind of liminal space of perhaps meditating, perhaps daydreaming, you feel a little bit difficult to connect with. So you could find that the people around you are saying that you're a bit dreamy at this time, that you seem a bit distant, because I want to say that you're spending a lot of time kind of beyond your physical body and in this kind of dreamland, or this kind of it's like energetically this space beyond your body is the way it's coming through. So with this idea of like hope, like the one light in the darkness, right? They were saying it's all you need, right? That one tiny pinprick of light is all you need to keep going. So you have the song Walk by Griff, which seems to be the way that somebody's viewing you. And I don't know if you realize this, but it says it's in the way that you laugh when you fall and the way you get up regardless. So it's like nothing's going to keep you down, right? You are a sign of perseverance. You are a sign of being able to laugh at yourself, being able to pick yourself up and dust yourself off and keep putting one foot in front of the other. It says all you have to do is walk. So as long as you've got that pinprick of light, which I feel has been difficult to... It's been difficult to hold on to. Some of you have really gone through like a wounded warrior period, 9 of Wands energy, where things have felt really difficult. You know, you've been feeling like the times are dark, but as long as you've got that one thing to cling on to, that one bright spark to focus on, it's like that's all you need to just get out of bed in the morning. I don't know, some of you may do the spoons thing, like brush your teeth, eat something, right? It's like just keep going. Like, you know, the sun will rise again, kind of like that kind of 10 of Swords energy. And then I feel like somebody sees this about you. They see that you are able to pick yourself up, laugh it off, keep going. But I feel like there's somebody else who perhaps thinks that this is effortless for you, because you have Effortlessly by Madison. So it could be that you are struggling, you are finding it very, very difficult. You don't want to burden anyone else with this. So you're putting on a brave face, right? You're laughing it off because you don't want to be like the sourpuss in the room and bring everybody else down with your own problems. You are that kind of sign that's very self-sacrificing and very interested in keeping the equilibrium, right? Keeping the balance. So again, you could just be putting one step in front of the other, getting on with things and kind of not wanting to burden anyone else. And people could be seeing this as perhaps being a bit cold and heartless with the Queen of Swords. And it's not that at all, right? It's like a misunderstanding. And they could be seeing it as like it's easy for you, right? It's easy for you to move on. Perhaps some of you are leaving a relationship and people are like, oh, Libra's not bothered, you know, they bounce back quick. You are bothered, and you do bounce back quick, but people don't necessarily see the struggle. I think the struggle is very inward for you. They were giving me the symbolism of a swan, so how swans look very graceful and they kind of glide, but they say that if you look under the surface, the feet are going like this, right, to keep them afloat. So yeah, I think you make things look effortless, even though actually people don't see how much you're kind of how much energy you're putting in under the surface. It says sadness isn't real in that song. Sadness isn't real. I don't know if you're disassociating slightly, again, with this kind of like zooming in and out energy, kind of like, you know, bigger picture here. You know, maybe your problems are not that important in the grand scheme of things. And I'm not saying that to you. I'm saying that you could be feeling that way about yourself. Again, it's like, you know, I have my problems. Everybody has the problems. You know, if we look at it on a grand scale, you know, there's bigger problems that we need to deal with than my own personal problems. So again, you can seem to be kind of like not ignoring. I feel like you're doing a really good job because you have like the Queen of Water and things over here. You seem to be doing a really, really good job of handling your own emotions, right? And it's not that you're bottling anything up, absolutely not. Like, if I wish I could put that first reading up, but it just wasn't good enough. There was something in that first reading that was saying, you're feeling everything. You're feeling everything, and you're allowing yourself to feel everything. And it's part of your power is this, is tuning into your own emotions, and maybe even saying, okay, I feel sad. Why do I feel sad? Let's, just with the idea of like, taking the light and kind of like splitting it into all its different colors, just kind of, you know, like, it's like reading between the lines, or like bringing something into more detail or something like that. It's like you're going into more detail on your own emotions as well. It's like, okay, I feel sad. Why do I feel sad? Is this my energy? Is this intuitive energy? Is it empathy that I'm picking up on somebody else? You know, okay, I feel sad about that. Why do I feel sad about that? Let's analyze that a little bit more again with that Queen of Swords energy, right? Your analytical mind, just going in and going in and going in. And it's like digging and digging and digging and digging until you've really kind of like got that, breakdown, that detailed breakdown of everything you're feeling and why. Hang on. I heard raised voices. I thought my kids were fighting, but they just seem to be being loud. So yeah, you seem to be, again, like really, really going into, definitely not turning a blind eye. It's not that you're going, sadness isn't real. It's, you know, it's just chemicals in my body. I mean, maybe you are like, right, I feel sad. Why do I feel sad? Okay, let's break it down to like molecular levels of like chemistry and body chemistry. But it really is coming through, not with avoidance or bottling things up. You're like really looking into it, like really diving deep, which you have over here. Which is actually very, very mature and healthy. It's like you're feeling everything. You're feeling everything, but you're okay with feeling everything. It's like, there was something coming through about, I can't remember if it was in Virgo's reading or your last reading, but there was this thing coming through about, it's okay to feel everything, right? I think we live in a society where, you know, we're fed, you know, commercials and, you know, Disney movies, this idea of being happy all the time, right? It's like, this is what we're aiming for. We're aiming for this idea of like perpetual happiness, you know, that kind of 10 of cups energy, expecting it to be every day is 10 of cups. That's what we're aiming for. And maybe if we just buy a nicer car, or, you know, we get our hair cut nicely, or we wear the right dress, or, you know, all these things that the adverts are trying to sell us, you know, then we'll be happy. You're not meant to be happy 100% of the time. That would literally be insanity. That's not normal. You know, being sad is not a design flaw. You know, feeling bad is not a design flaw. We're designed to do this. It's a feature, not a design flaw. So allowing ourselves to feel whatever we're feeling and being like, this is me being a healthy human. You know, I celebrate that I have all these different feelings and these complex emotions. And yeah, some of them don't feel great, but I'm glad that I'm able to feel. So for example, if somebody dies and you feel sad, that's normal, right? That's healthy to feel sad when someone dies. And you might not feel sad. You might feel a whole range of emotions or nothing at all. And it's okay. That's human, right? That's our body chemistry functioning as it was designed, or as it was, maybe you don't believe in design. I believe in everything, right? This and that are true. Maybe you believe in like evolution, right? We evolved to feel these things. It's a miracle that our body can do this. So yeah, that's something that came out in your last reading. I thought it was really interesting. You're getting the word equine and equanimity. Now, equine refers to horses, so there could be something with horses. There's no horses in the reading, but the word equanimity was what I think they were trying to get me to, which means composure, which is such a Libra energy, right? Keeping the balance, keeping your composure. It's like giving me just keep swimming, just keep swimming. You're like Dory, but they're showing me a swan. It's like, just keep swimming, keep your composure, keep calm and carry on, right? It's like don't deny anything, you know, don't be a drama queen. Be like, this is what I feel, let's keep moving, right? You feel very mature in that way. And the description when I googled it was, she accepted both the good and the bad with equanimity, and that's what I feel like you're doing. With radical acceptance, you're accepting the good and the bad and the ugly in life with radical acceptance, right? It's like allowing everything, right? It's like there's going to be good days and there's going to be bad days, right? Let's focus on the good days. Let's focus on the fruit at the bottom. So really good. You're getting a lot of stuff about trying. I'm trying by Maisie Peters. Bad at love. She mentions trying. So yeah, that is my notes. Oh, okay. Okay. I'm going to put this here because I'm going to come back to those cards because there's a big message there. Okay, I'm going to pause. I'm going to drink a bit more of my coffee. I'm going to get ready and we'll go through the actual cards. Okay, there was one last thing from the original reading that I did that isn't really showing up massively in the cards except for in the underlying. This idea of experiencing life as it comes. There's this idea with you at the moment of, you had a lot of the Seven of Cups in that original reading, and it was almost like, if you don't know what path to take, if you don't know which door to choose, right, if you don't know what to do with yourself, you are getting a lot of priest references. I'm watching the second season of Fleabag, and that may be kind of impacting the cards a little bit, because she falls in love with a priest. And there's this moment which is such an iconic scene where she's in the confessional. It's making me think of Cancer's reading now. And she's going, I need someone to tell me what to do. I need someone to tell me what to wear. I need someone to tell me what to eat, what bands to like, you know, what to believe in. And she's just like, she's so tired of having to make decisions and like having to like have that kind of authority over herself and autonomy. And she's like, I just want someone to tell me what to do. I want someone to tell me what the right choice is. And it's making me think of something that I said to a friend the other week. She was kind of calling me out on my imposter syndrome and kind of like not going through some of the doors that were open, right? Not taking opportunities that were available to me. And I said, there are no wrong choices. Like every path is valid. And I truly believe on this, because whether you say yes or no, whether you try something or you don't try something, again, with that idea of like you being, it's almost like you can see every single outcome of every single choice. You're kind of in this kind of Doctor Strange energy. You know Doctor Strange, where they're fighting the guy with the big arm. I can't think of his name. Thanos. Which is funny because Thanos is like the god of destruction and death, right? In Greek mythology, I believe. I think. Which is very curious. But Doctor Strange is kind of like saying, I've looked at every single, because he is a multi-dimensional energy, and he's like, I've looked at every single outcome, I've looked at every single scenario, and this is the only one that works. And you seem to be doing a very, very similar thing, where it's like maybe thinking ahead, right? Maybe this kind of like looking into the light is like trying to see the future. So you've got this energy of like, there's no wrong choices. No matter which path I take, whether it's a path that works out really well for me, it's like the lucky path, you know, that's great. But if I choose a path that's bad for me, I'm going to learn lessons, right? I'm here as a human being, as a mortal on this planet, to experience life and learn from it and grow my soul. So there's no wrong choice. It's like every option is a valid option. So you have this kind of like, that explains the drifter energy. It's like, I don't have to make decisions. I don't have to make choices. I can go with the flow, and know that whatever path I take is one of my destined paths. Again, with this idea of like all the different colors of the rainbow almost being like all these different paths or like parallel dimensions. And it's like you're in all of them at once is the way it's coming through. It's like you, again, like that film, like Everywhere. What is it? Everything Everywhere. I can't think what the film's called. But yeah, that's why it's like, that's why you, and the universe, I want to say, because for the longest time, I remember you had this kitten reading, and it was like they were showing me a kitten with all dominoes around it, right? Like dominoes being set up, and it was like, Libra, don't move, just sit there and look pretty and don't move, because you don't want to set the dominoes off. and you've had this kind of like waiting energy for a long time, but you seem to be accepting it now. You seem to be like, I don't have to worry about the future. I don't have to make a choice because everything is happening everywhere all at once. That's the movie title. It's like I've already chose that. I'm already doing that in a parallel life. I'm already dating that person. It's like everything already is happening. Every possibility is all happening in this one moment. I don't know. It's like it's very, very out there. Okay, but this seems to be part of this knowledge, right? Part of the wisdom. So the owl starts off your reading. Again, we've kind of like spoken about what that means. Very, very high priestess energy. Now, the high priestess is not here on the table. It hasn't come out in any of your readings. So it's not quite high priestess energy, but it's very, very similar because this is actually next to both the messenger of water and the queen of water. So there seems to be something here in this row that says, I want to say emotionally, because water symbolizes emotion or intuition. So either psychically or emotionally, you're trying to connect with this owl energy. And the owl, I want to say, is like a higher self, right? It's almost like if you were three characters all at once, right? The devil you, the human you, and the angel you. Like the owl is like the angel you, right? It's like it sees the future. It has access to the Akashic records. It's your own higher self, and it's like you're trying to whisper to your own owl. You're trying to get a connection and information out of that owl. Again, it's like this fine tuning, this kind of maybe like psychic, like almost like psychic radar. Like you're trying to find this messenger, but the action isn't there, and it's almost like with the 8 of Wands being in reverse, it's like missing the messages. Maybe you are missing messages from spirit, like you're just not catching the messages. It's like wrong place, wrong time, you know. So it's like the message isn't coming through. So what I'm seeing you doing is like this focusing, and this like this keeps showing me like, you know, like tuning a radio to try and get the right radio station. So you're kind of like tuning in psychically to make the signal bigger. So you start off with the messenger of water, right, which is the knight of cups, and then you go to the queen of water. So can you see how it's almost like it's like a focusing in, you know, like you've gone closer to it, or the signal gets bigger, or it's more concentrated because you have this deep dive, right? Deep dive, diving into a task. So it's like if you started off as the messenger of water, it's like the signal wasn't big enough. Maybe you're telling someone that you love them. Maybe you're trying to send someone love energetically, but it's like you have to make the message bigger, or you have to make the message clearer, is the way it's coming through, like deeper, more meaningful, clearer. So there is this really going deeper into the water, and water obviously again symbolizes emotions or the intuitive space, and then beloved, radical acceptance. So I'm just seeing it as almost, because it came through like this, right? It's like this is you trying to find the light in the darkness. If you were going down to the bottom of the ocean, funny, deep sea astronaut was one of the cards that kind of was showing itself from my deck. So it's like you know, in that darkness, it's like you're trying to find this light, right? You're trying to, like, this is what you're aiming for. Radical acceptance. And maybe this is what you want more of in your life. You want people who love you for you, right? They accept you for exactly who you are. So with this energy of kind of like going in deep, I am seeing it as an inward journey into your own emotions, or a journey into the psychic realm, right? It's like a spiritual journey, because you then have like the vision quest card. So it's like, this is what you're doing, this is what you're diving down for. You're again, if it was me, right, if it was me doing my own spiritual practice, my own meditation, I do focus on a bright white light, and I kind of tune into the energy, and then I start to receive the visions. So it's like, this is what you're looking for, right? You're trying to connect with this, and you're trying to go on this journey to receive the visions, to receive the information from your higher self, or whatever the owl symbolizes for you. And so there's this kind of like, again, this idea of like you've got the Wheel of Fortune here and then Fortune's Wheel either side of the journey. So that's fascinating in itself. But the imagery of this card, it's like, again, it's like dialing it in, like, again, that kind of like microscope or telescope, right? It's like you're focusing in on like trying to see the vision. It's like that's what this journey is all about, is going in to get the vision. But I want to say there's something that scares you with the snake. It's like, because it's here as well, like, right, like the snake here. So it's like when you get close to this, or when you capture a glimpse of it, I want to say it does scare you a little bit. Like the snake seems to be symbolic of something that's it's like it breaks your vision, or it breaks your focus, or it jolts you out of it in some sort of way, which I'll kind of come back to. But yeah, the Queen of Swords, the owl, again, it's your own higher self. And again, it is coming through with kind of almost like it's like a laser focus, right? With it being like the sword. It's like because it is your energy. It's just coming through with like the sharpness, right? The sharpness, the focus, the astuteness, the knowledge, being very clear. So it's like you are trying to get some clarity on this image that you've received, right? Or this message. So yeah, so then you have this really fascinating thing here with like the journey, like look at the journey, right? He's got this owl on his head. So again, it seems to be the you, like the owl seems to be coming in behind you, right? It's like it seems to be it's something that kind of like is like spiritually or energetically, it's like it comes into your crown chakra perhaps, or your third eye, right? It's like it's coming in like this to your head. Yeah, just really fascinating, the imagery there. So on the either side of this journey, and I want to say the journey is this vision quest that you're doing, perhaps when you're meditating, perhaps when you're sleeping. It's like that's when this owl, whatever this symbolizes for you, comes in and like connects with you. And it's like there's like almost like venom, right? There's like this symbiotic thing that happens. It's like it connects with you, it plugs in. But again, now you have, like, what's fascinating is like the Wheel of Fortune is on one side and Fortune's Wheel is on the other side. So look and right timing. There is something about timing. There is something about impulsivity. There is something about being able to react quickly. So the reason why I say that is because this row here, with the journey, the fox, right? Think on your feet, and the Page of Fire being, the Page of Fire is very impulsive, very quick to react, impulsive. It's you would want, if there was a situation where you had to think on your feet and you had to be impulsive, the Page of Fire would actually be perfect because they're very, very quick. They are impulsive. Like that's their kind of like that's the good side, that's the flip side of their energy, right? So in the wrong situation, they'd be impulsive in a negative way that causes disruption. But it's like in this case, it's like the disruption is what you're supposed to do, right? So it's like, you know when to pull out or something. If they pull out, you know when to break contact, you know when to perhaps it could be with all this gate energy. It's like the way it's coming through is like you're doing this vision quest, right? You're doing this vision quest, you're in meditation, this energy is connecting with you, this owl energy is connecting with you. And I want to say that's a good thing, that's what's meant to happen, because it's almost like these two images, it's like it engulfs you, right? It's like you're surrounded or blanketed or engulfed by this owl energy. It's like that's what you're aiming for, right? This is, it's looking to me like a strong connection, right? It's like if this is the owl coming in, you're in meditation, the owl comes in, and then it's like the energy is surrounding you, right? It's like you're sat completely submerged in that owl energy, which is what you want, right? Because it's the counsel. So it's like, this is how you receive the wisdom, this is how you get that esoteric knowledge, this is how you find the answers. That's you kind of like completely plugged in. So again, with it being completely white as well, it's kind of saying it's a positive energy. But it appears that, again, there's something that kind of like startles you out of it, or something that makes you nervous, or something that's uncomfortable. So does seem to be something about like the window. Can you see like it's got these wings on either side? So it's like the snake here. It's like you receive the vision, you see the snake. You receive the vision, you see the eagle. So it's like knowing the different energies that are trying to come through, or something like that. Because it's like, again, it's like this wasn't right. It's like this wasn't the owl, so it had to be almost like fought off, or you know, like warded away. It's like sending out missiles to kind of like get that imposter out, because it's not the owl. You're connecting with the owl, which again is like your higher self. So Fox Spirit and Page of Fire, it's either knowing when to shift the energy, and when to pull out when it's not the thing that you're trying to connect with, or it's knowing that when things line up correctly, which you've got all this stuff about lining up here, which I'll kind of come back to, when things line up correctly, when the portal opens, when the right gate opens, which seems to be the rainbow gate, when the rainbow gate opens, you have to move very quickly through it, which takes me back to the thing that I was getting energetically of like, if you spread yourself across the entirety of the landscape and the door opens, then you're stood right next to it, you can go through, or at least a part of yourself can go through. It's like it doesn't have to be the whole self, it just has to be one kind of like a speck of you that gets through, and that's enough, right? Because that speck carries the thumbprint of your soul, something like that. It's like you know that it just has to be, maybe it's something like you just have to send one message, right, to the right person at the right time, like literally like a tweet, or you know, like some kind of reply to a text message. Or it's like you just have to make sure you just have to make sure you sign up to something when the opportunity opens, or you just have to get your foot in the door, right? It's like you don't have to show up in person, perhaps. You don't have to kind of like go around to their house and knock on the door and walk into the room and be there kind of fully like present. It's like just showing your interest, or just responding is enough, right? It just has to be an indication that you're in, is the way it could be coming through. If I kind of dial this down to kind of like something that's a bit more like of substance and part of this reality, because it's very, very coming through, very esoteric. I hope I'm using that word correctly. So then you have this fascinating thing, right, where it's like everything lines up correctly. You tune the telescope just right, you get the focus just right, you receive this vision, and this rainbow, I love this card. It always talks to me about kind of like, I think the first time I saw it, it was talking about like a cat running through somebody's paint, right? It's like this thing that kind of like rushes through at the last second, and it seems to be you, because again, that's what you're aiming to do. It's like you're trying to get through this, like Indiana Jones, right, rolling under the door. It's like you're going to get through at the last second. You're going to get through because it's like you're in the right position, right? Luck and right timing. It's like you're in the perfect position to kind of get through that very, very narrow window. It's like you're just going to go and you're through. So maybe making a mess as you do so. Maybe it's something that you're really excited about and you kind of like knock everything over. But like, again, the rainbow, this is what you've been waiting for, the rainbow gates. All right. It's like the rainbow gate, the rainbow bridge. This is exactly what the window you've been waiting for, the opportunity you've been waiting for, something like that. So yeah, it's really curious. And again, focus, again, it just seems to be saying like, keep focusing on this, keep your focus on this, don't get distracted, right? It's like, pay attention to this. Like if you've been dialing in to focus on it, like dial in again and kind of like focus on it more. There could be something to do with the root girl, the disowned self. It feels like it doesn't fit in with the rest of the reading for some reason. There could be some imposter syndrome going on. There could be a feeling of not being good enough, or perhaps feeling a little bit abandoned by a situation. Again, maybe you do get rejected for something that you really thought you were gonna go for, but I'm seeing it more as like self-sabotage. So if you run into a situation like that, like, Or perhaps you do. Perhaps somebody says to you, you didn't get the job, right? You didn't get the opportunity. It's making you feel kind of that kind of Five of Cups energy, Five of Pentacles energy. I want to say ask for more information. Ask why, because the Page of Air is like the information seeker. This is the follow-up email saying, could you give me some pointers? Could you give me some tips? Like, is there anything I could have done differently? I'd love some feedback, right? So ask why, or keep watching. But again, with focus, just with the surrounding cards, it's like keep going into detail, right? It's like the devil's in the detail or something like that, because you got like, do you see these cards here? It's like maybe a lot of people would miss this, right? Maybe this would be, it'd fly under a lot of people's radar or something like that, because it's very quick and it's almost like very small and quick, right? It's like a flash in the pan. But you seem to be hyper focused on it, hyper focused and wanting more information. You're like, give me the details, break this down for me. I want to see all the information, all the component parts of this. Now, it could be that this is something to do with your roots, right? Again, been talking a little bit about DNA and ancestry and things like that. Root girl, you can talk about your background, your family, your roots, right? Where you came from, your genetics, all this kind of stuff. So again, it could be something where you're like, I need more information. I need to investigate this. Maybe you're doing like an ancestry test or something like that. That kind of has been coming up a lot recently. But yeah, you just seem to be, it seems to be something to do with, like maybe, so I'm just reading the cards again, like in lifetime. It's like maybe it's something to do with the council, right? With this kind of like higher self, with your, they keep giving me devils in the details, with your Queen of Swords habit of kind of like really wanting to know the why. It's like you need all the information. It's like you're not done looking until you've got, it's like till you've asked why, and then you've asked why again, and then you've asked why, and you kind of like, almost like, it's like they're showing me like the root, you know, like a tree, you know how a tree branches. So it's like if you're given a final product, or if you're given an answer, it's like you want to know, it's like you just keep digging. You know, the thing about like, the yogurt, like trying to get to the fruit at the bottom, like you're trying to get to the bottom of something. There we go. So you're trying to get to the bottom of something. So you have to trace it back, right? You have to trace it back to, maybe it is ancestry, right? Your family tree, but you have to like trace it back to, like, well, why was that decision made? Why did that branch happen? And then like, what was the input for that? And then what was the input for that, right? Something like, or like the root system, right? Like going, it's like going, tracing things back to the start, but it's like, there's multiple things like rivers, right? Like rivers flowing to the sea. It's like you're going back to the source of each of these, of whatever was created, whatever you've been given, whatever you've ended up with. It's like you're going back to, it's like you're tracing everything back. Sorry, they're giving me stuff in real time. So then you have this straddling worlds, right? Wandering between realms. It's like being half here in this reality and half in connection to the owl, whatever that is for you. So it's almost as though you can see what something should be, right? It's like you can see the parallel dimension, you can see the alternate timeline. So you can see what this should be like, and you can see what is. Because there was a lot of cards saying you were the readings about manifestation, right? If you can think it, if you can dream it, if you can speak it, it will happen. So you seem to be perhaps course correcting, or not jumping timelines, but taking a timeline and bringing it in to this one. It's making me think, I don't know quite how it fits. Excuse me a second. I don't know what they're doing. It sounds like it might be some workmen, so or somebody doing some digging or something like that. So I'm just going to keep going. It might be a bit noisy in the background. There you go, ladders or something. I'm just going to keep going. So yeah, there was something again with this idea of like focus, and I remember like as I was going to sleep last night having this conversation. When I was trying to describe the reading to somebody else. So it's like, it could be something to do with your actual vision, right? Maybe you need to go and have an eye test. But you know how like different animals can see different things? You know, like how cats are really good at seeing in the night. And like there's like, you know, bats have sonar, right? So there's all these different ways of reading an environment. All these different lenses you could put on. So it's making me think of like 3D glasses. The reason why I got onto this was because I was watching, there's a channel that I really like called Cinema Therapy, and they were reviewing a movie called Spider-Man Into the Multiverse, right? It's funny that it's in the multiverse, and that's what I'm saying. It's like you're multi-dimensional. And it was they were talking about how they created the very unique style of this movie. It's like a very original way of doing an animated movie, because it has this kind of, yes, it looks like comic book, right? It has like, you know, like the spots from old-fashioned comic books and things like that, but it also looks very realistic and kind of like 3D. And one of the ways that they did it, apparently it's all hand-drawn, it's all comic book style. But one technique that they do to kind of like blur the image, like blur the edges of the image, is they would take the still, and say it with, for example, it was, not Peter Parker, what's his name in that? Miles Morales. Miles Morales, say it was his face. They would like shift it ever so slightly one way and shift it ever so slightly the other way and change the color on it, and it gives it this kind of like, almost like if you imagine like, you know, 3D movies, or if you've looked at a 3D image, it kind of has that kind of like the colors on the edges. Maybe you can see auras or something like this, but it's like, to put on the 3D glasses changes the perception of the image, right? It makes the image pop out, so it has that kind of effect to it. And just this card itself like really is giving that, you know, with the two different colors. And then this thing about like being able to see all the different colors. So it could be that you are, perhaps, maybe you do have some sort of ability to see, like, almost like, I know it sounds crazy, guys, but I'm just giving you what the cards are giving me. It's like maybe there is something about your vision that's different to the vision of other people, where it's like you can see things literally like your vision, you can see things that other people can't. Maybe you see spirits, maybe you see things moving in the corner of your eye and nobody else notices it. But it's like, you know how, like, for example, if you look at like the equipment that the army would use, or people who are on ghost hunting, right? It's like walking around in the dark and they'll use like ultraviolet light, or they'll use like a red light, and it's like there's all these different. That's why I was getting, sorry, I don't think I mentioned it yet, but I was getting, a few weeks back, I woke up in the middle of the night and I was getting full spectrum light. Full spectrum light is what they were telling me, and I was like googling full spectrum light. I was like, maybe they just want me to use like a different light when I'm filming videos or something like that, right? Like but I was like, I didn't understand the meaning of it at the time, but yeah, they were giving me full spectrum light. So it's like, you know, like the light spectrum, like our eyes can see a certain bandwidth on that light spectrum, but if we could expand our ability to see like more waves of light, more waves of color, we would be able to read our environment better, right? So like a bat has sonar, but it's like you could look at an environment in ultraviolet light, or all these different lights that would allow you to see in more detail. So really fascinating that should come back through. And then this is followed by miracle, right? So again, it's something to do with like being able to perceive things in certain light. So if you look at this card, right, of course, like rainbows, if you imagine, right, rainbows are pure white light. So, and we are always surrounded by pure white light from the sun, right? Daytime is pure white light. But it's like each light wave, each molecule of light, right? What is it, a photon? Photon. I got this wrong in the last set of readings that I did about this. Photons are what Ghostbusters use. Photons, like a photo, okay? So each photon, God, I'm not a physicist, guys. Each tiny particle of light, right, each photon of light that's constantly in our environment all the time has a rainbow inside it, right? It's like if you split that light up, it would turn into a rainbow. So, but we don't, it's funny though, it's just started raining. I can just see the first splashes of rain on my window, but you don't see it, you don't see the rainbow unless you have the sun and the rain at the same time. So again, it could be something about things being bittersweet, right? Happy, sad, sun and rain. It's like that allows you to see the rainbow. So you have to be in the right conditions to be able to perceive what's there all the time. And this is miracles, right? Rainbow waterfall, rainbow gate. So I don't know, it's kind of portal opening up, but it's like you see it only in the right conditions. Again, you have this thing about luck and right timing. So this could be something that you experience in 2023. It could be that you literally see something that feels like a miracle, right? Some kind of like you know, like the aurora borealis, you know, the lights in the sky. It's like you see something that feels like you know, incredibly lucky, like right place, right time. Not many people get to see this. It's a freak of nature. It's a phenomenon. And it may have a huge impact on you to see what's coming through as the rainbow gate or the rainbow portal, right? So really, really cool. Okay, so what do we have going on here? This is where it gets a bit more complicated. So I don't know if this is a bit further into the future. This row itself, no, I'll talk about the wall actually first. So you have this wall energy, which I don't really recall coming out in a reading before. It may have done, but it felt really unfamiliar when it first came out. So I feel like you could run into some obstacles. I feel like it could be red tape with the Justice card being there, because you had this other hand card that was like lots of hands when it came out in the last reading. So it's almost like stop, don't go there, don't go. You just seem to be in this with wandering between realms, straddling worlds, the wall, the obstacle, right? And then the Father Gate card, which it does feel like you're in this kind of like in-between period or liminal space of being between our reality and another reality, whatever that is, right? It could be the afterlife, I don't know. You seem to be in this, straddling these two realms. And you don't seem, it feels like you can see what's beyond the gate, right? It's like you can see, it's like your gate's open, your portal's open, right? The portal opens on your side for you, but the gate on the other side is closed, or there's a wall, or there's some, it just feels like two gates, right? With like a liminal space in between. And it's like the space in between itself is the obstacle. So I don't know if you've been watching like Handmaid's Tale, they talk about the no man zone, right? The no man area that's kind of like between like Gilead and Canada. They have this kind of like unclaimed territory in between, right? So again, this idea of like liminal spaces, it's like maybe it's something to do with like, you know, like how people say like when you go out into the ocean, it's kind of like the laws don't apply, something like that. But yeah, it's like this it's like the space in between is the obstacle, because I want to say it's something like you don't know what happens. So if you went through that gate, if you went through that portal, or it's like the gate's open on your side, but the gate's not open on their side. So it's like you don't know what's going to happen in that blank space, right, in between. You don't know the outcome of choosing to take that bold step forward, right? It's like you don't know what you're going to find out there. You don't know what you're going to encounter. You don't know if you're going to be able to make it to the other side, because that other gate doesn't appear to be open, right? It's like you don't have full access or something. So the wall is like this, yes, it's coming through as a wall. It could be talking about like the closed gate on the other side, but it's talking to me about like things lining up, because you can see how the moon is coming down here, and then it's like it's there. So it's almost like, again, with luck and right timing. I think I was talking about this. Was I talking about this in one of the other readings about like Stonehenge, right? So like Stonehenge, if you go there at the right time, the sun will rise directly between two pillars. It's almost like it's a natural landmark, right? If we're talking about natural landmarks, it's like a natural landmark. It's not it's not a natural landmark. It's a man-made landmark, right? That is like the pyramids. It's like it aligns with nature. It aligns with kind of like the astronomical calendar system. So it's something about, again, with the right place at right time and this gate opening. Maybe it's like a portal, you know, like Lionsgate portal and things like that. But it's like there's this perfect alignment that happens where you are able to see. It's like you may not be able to go there, right? You may not be able to physically go to that other place, but there will be moments where you catch a glimpse of it. It's like you do see the alternate timeline, or you have a peek into the afterlife. It's like something to do with the light being able to come through. where physically you may not be able to go there. This reading's a lot. It's just taking a lot out of me. I've got more stuff to do as well when I finish this. So I don't know if you're asking for more information. You may be actually approaching people to ask for more information about the afterlife. So you could be walking into a church and finding a priest and saying, please will you tell me, please will you share with me the information that you have about the afterlife, because this is a student energy, and the Hierophant can indicate a teacher, right? And it can indicate a priest. It's normally, the Hierophant is normally traditional, often patriarchal systems. So absolutely it could represent like the church or some kind of authority in that way. It can also indicate places of higher learning like universities, but it is somebody who has a lot of knowledge and wisdom. Normally in the reverse it would be negative, but in the upright it's like this person is coming through for you, or this institution is coming through for you as a teacher. It's like they do have knowledge and wisdom to share with you, right? It's like maybe they have more, maybe they're able to access more information. Or maybe this person's standing as a gatekeeper and not allowing you to access the further information, or for further education perhaps as well. It could be that this is some kind of father figure for you. It could be a padre, right? It could be like a yes father, you know, a priest, again the father. But it does seem to be that this person, yes, they are a keeper of knowledge. Are they allowing you to access that knowledge, or are they keeping the gate closed? Again, with this concept of red tape, right? The Justice card being legalities, red tape. Maybe they can't share this information with you legally. It's there's some kind of, you know, to access it you have to go through these legal channels. It could be something like that. But again, the Justice card is a symbol of truth and integrity. It's kind of it carries a little bit of weight of karma. It's like you know, God sees, God knows, under his eye, right? It's like the truth will out. If, you know, people can think that they're keeping things hidden here on earth, but the keepers of the afterlife know, right? The Akashic Library is keeping record. But there seems to be something happening here, because you have miracles with the Hierophant card. So that is like, it's like church and miracles, like they do go hand in hand. And then another very churchy word, which is sanctuary. So I do think perhaps you could be seeking information from I mean, maybe you're asking God, right? Asking God for a miracle, but it does seem like it almost has the feeling of like going to a priest, or going to a church, or going to some kind of university, or something that holds knowledge. A library, it could be a library. The library card did show itself from my deck. Going to a library and saying, I want more information on the afterlife. I want more information on what happens when we die. It was making me think of The Wonder Why by Wolf Alice, which I think came through for Cancer. It's like, what happens when we die? But it could be that this is a place of sanctuary for you. It could be that you perhaps meet some people who seem at first to be very different from you, but you could actually find some commonality. The mice as well. Mice, I think it might be a hamster, but I'm reading it as mice. Symbolically for me in my own deck, talk about the little people who are everywhere, right? The commonality. So I always associate the mice with the servants who work in the castle. You know, in the olden days, it's like, yes, you might have a king. Yes, you might have lords and ladies, but you have a huge amount of servants. It's like if you imagine like one king has 500 servants. Those servants are the mice, and they're the eyes and ears of the community. They hear everything, they see everything. And for you, Libra, to be in this everywhere all at once energy, you seem to be all the mice all at once is the way it's coming through. It's like you are part of the collective in a way. You are I don't know. But yeah, there's a lot of power in the mice. It's making me think of, I don't want to kind of spoil it too much for people who haven't read it, but Stephen King recently released a book called Fairy Tales, and towards the end there is a scene where the people who are on the good side, there's this like wave of mice that come in. I think it's mice, it might be rats, but this wave, like a huge amount of mice that come in, and it's kind of like a they're helping. It's kind of, it's a grim scene because it's Stephen King, but you know, they it's like power in numbers perhaps. Now, again, you do seem to be curious. I want to say you are curious about death, right? Maybe you are asking questions like wonder why, Wolf Alice. You're asking questions about what happens when we die. Like, how do we know this? What's the evidence for this? With stranger and curiosity, I think somebody could be curious about you as well, right? You seem to be coming into this situation with some authority, with the Justice card being your card, right? You seem to be, because you're very, very connected to the owl, right? You're very, very connected to perhaps the afterlife. And so this could be creating conflicts or raising questions. I did see the Five of Wands. It isn't in the spread, but it did kind of come out. I put it back in because it came out with a number of cards that it just seemed to come out like in a big blip. But I did notice the Five of Wands. So there seems to be something where it's really curious as well, like with the sun behind its head, right, with the crown. It's kind of like what you would see in kind of religious imagery. So this owl, this higher self, this wisdom keeper, seems to be assisting with the crossing, I want to say. It's like if that is like some kind of no man's land, right? This, because it looks threatening. It looks threatening with all these eyes in the undergrowth. It's like you don't know what's there. You don't know what's in that liminal area. So the owl, the wisdom keeper, who seems like a benefactor, seems to be helping with the crossing. So it could be, I mean, it could be that a literal priest has passed away. Now, the reason why I say that is these two cards are very, very close to one another, right? These two cards are very close to each other. You have the word the priest in the underlying, and in the first reading that I did, I needed clarification and I pulled more cards and I got these cards, the Hierophant and the Death card. So you've got this pattern of cards here, literally next to each other, side by side, and here. So, I mean, they're ever so slightly, I mean, they're adjacent, right? They're adjacent. So, I can't read it 100%, but there does seem to be some connection to like God and the afterlife, right? That's happening in these cards. And I'm not going to shy away from that. And I'm not predicting that anyone's dying, right? I'm not going to say, oh, you're going to experience death in 2023. I mean, death itself is inevitable. We are all going to die at some point. But it seems to me that in your reading, it's more of an exploration of perhaps different belief systems around what happens when we die. And I want to say the Hierophant, this, if there is a priest in your life or somebody who has this kind of like father figure energy, I want to say that they could be a source of wisdom for you. You had a lot of cards about being very open, right, open to receive information. And it could be that this person, because they are a knowledge keeper, right, they do have access to a library of knowledge. It's like they could be very willing to share their own perspective with you. And now if you have a different belief system, it doesn't mean that you have to disbelieve what is true to you in order to sit down and have a conversation with somebody else who has a different belief system. It feels like rather than it being something that null and voids your belief system, it's complementary. It seems to be something that is expanding your own field of perception or your own scope of understanding. It's like they could give you tidbits of information that are complementary or help to expand the information that you have, and it feels like your information has come almost direct from source. I do want to say, and I may or not be right on this, that you seem to be connecting with the personification of death itself. With the owl, it feels like, and this is not a scary thing, I don't know how you're feeling about what I'm saying right now, and I really want to really reassure you here that this is not something to be scared of. This is not something that is it's not the devil card, right? It's not the devil card. It's a it's a reality. And again, it seems like a guardian or a benefactor to you, because it feels, again, with this kind of owl energy, it's this energy that you're connecting with is trying to give you wisdom, it's trying to give you information, it's not trying to hurt you. Is the way it's coming through. So again, I don't kind of know how everybody feels about that. If that's something you feel resistant to, then absolutely do that, because again, you've got this stuff about thinking on your feet, trusting your instincts, right? So if that's something you want to kind of like back away from, something that you're not ready to kind of like process, that's absolutely fine. I personally feel like we don't talk about death enough. Death is an inevitability. You know, it's, you know, we're born, we pay taxes, we die. These are facts of life, right? So it's something that happens to all of us. And I think it's important to have healthy, open conversations about it, because it helps us to process and it helps us to deal. I think there are certain cultures, certain religions perhaps, where, you know, stiff upper lip and all that. It's like, you don't talk about it, you bottle it up, you deal with it, you move on, right? Keep calm, carry on. Which is not as healthy, I want to say, as perhaps cultures like, you know, is it Mexican, like Day of the Dead, you know, where if you've watched Coco, it's such a beautiful movie, the idea of like celebrating and remembering your ancestors who are, it's like they're not gone, they're just on a different dimension to you. And I think that's really beautiful and healthy to have open discussions about it. So again, it feels like perhaps there's something opening up for you to allow you to discuss these things with perhaps a group of other people. And perhaps this feels like a safe space for you. If that's not going on for you, that's absolutely fine. Just interpret it however it comes through. But I want to say there's a mutual curiosity. You seem curious about this person's belief system and they seem curious about your belief system. And I think when you actually sit down and have a conversation, it could be that you gain a lot from each other, and you it's like you expand each other's field of knowledge. And I want to say it's not contradictory, it's complementary is the way it's coming through. And with treasures hidden in the shadows, with this idea of like the liminal space, right, the space that is not this kind of no man's land territory that's full of shadows and the unknown, right? It's like you don't know how to get to that light on the other side. It's like the actual journey itself, the liminal space itself, is full of treasures. It's like this stranger energy, right? It's full of again, it could be like information, because you're coming through this really curious energy. Again, it could be almost like perhaps you do have the ability to connect with spirits. Perhaps you see ghosts or something like that. I don't know, but it's really curious how that kind of ends. I do want to read these two cards for you because I did this in the first reading and I think there was a lot from there. Yeah, I want to say this person, it feels like there's two of you, because like I say, the first reading came out with the Priestess card and this card's come out with the Priest card. So it does feel like a counterpart energy. And you've got the Queen of Swords in your reading, which is you, Libra. And then you have the King of Swords in the underlying, which could be an Aquarius. It doesn't have to be. And look, they've got a field of poppies. Yeah, it really feels like some sort of counterpart energy between you and this other, where you're going to be able to share information. It could be that the stuff that you've received intuitively through this kind of vision quest energy could actually be confirming what this person knows through their learned knowledge, right? It feels like they've done kind of like an earthly route and you've gone a spiritual route, but it feels like it somehow aligns, or it has points of alignment, right? It's really interesting. Really curious, because I'm a Libra. I'm like, how is this going to play out to me? I was thinking to myself, am I going to run into any priests over the, in January, because I'm going somewhere where I may run into priests. I may have a Fleabag moment. No, I'm not. I'm joking. I don't mean to be sacrilegious. Okay, the Hierophant. Tradition is to be followed. This seems to be the other, right? But you're learning from them. There are two possible ways, the traditional one or the innovative one. My message is that innovation is not what is required at the moment. On the contrary, you need to adapt yourself to what is already there. This is not the time to challenge anything. Things must now be done the way they've always been done. Tradition is to be followed and even honoured. I represent rules, institutions. Let me be your guide. Let me show you the power of sacred teachings. Maybe you feel like the rules are limiting. If so, you have to learn that they can also be enriching and reassuring. Sometimes it feels good to join a group or a church, sanctuary, or an institution that has already proved itself. It's like tried and tested, right? There's a reason why certain things stand the test of time, because churches, they do provide a place of comfort. They do provide rules. They do provide a feeling of stability and balance, which, Libra, if you're honest, you're all about balance, right? You're all about maintaining the equilibrium. So it may feel like, yes, there may be some resistance or some questions that you have about this, but it could also really align with you if you allow yourself to explore something that perhaps is quite unfamiliar. If you allow yourself to be taught, right? This is also the time for you to find the right teachers and to learn to study and grow. So if it may not be religious, it may be higher knowledge. It may just be finding out more information about the world itself, right? Maybe trying to validate or trying to confirm the things that you get through your visions, right? Through your spirituality. This happens to me all the time. It's the weirdest thing. So I can think of a random example. I was getting really spotty. I do suffer from acne quite commonly, and I've kind of got a bit of a handle on it at the moment, so I'm really thankful for that. But I remember I had a bit of a flare up, and I was thinking, oh no, right? Oh no, because I was on like long-term medication for it and stuff, and it's not the best. But I kind of came off it, and it had been really good for a while. It kind of flared up, and I was like, what do I do? And I remember asking my spirit guides. I was like, right, I'm going to meditate. Spirit guides, give me the answer. What do I do? Like, how do I solve this? And I closed my eyes, and almost immediately I got the words selenium. It was like selenium. And then they showed me mushrooms. And so I didn't know this, right? Maybe I did at the back of my mind. And again, it could just be your higher self talking to you, right? Your subconscious, the information that you don't realize you know. But I Googled it, and it was like, yeah, mushrooms have selenium in. They're a great source of selenium, and selenium is really good for skin. And so I did. I got mushrooms, and I was eating mushrooms for like a couple of days, like just normal mushrooms from the supermarket, not weird hippie trippy mushrooms. And my skin cleared up, and I was like, thanks, spirit guides. Appreciate you. And then what else as well? Like, there's so many examples. I was getting something one day about not catalytic converters, gyroscopic, what was it, like, can't even remember the word, right? I'm not a physicist, but they were giving me this word. It was like gyroscopic something, and it was like they were showing it me like almost like like a pendulum in a seatbelt. It was like as though this gyroscopic thing helped to keep the balance of something. And then I googled it, and it was like, yeah, rockets have these gyroscopic things in them, and it helps them maintain the balance and I was like, that's mad because I didn't know that completely came through intuitively in intuitive messages. And then it was like, yeah, validated by actual science. So it could be that there's something like that going on for you and this person, like they could actually be validating a lot of this your intuition, which could be absolutely very fascinating to you. And then the death card, again, it's not something to be frightened of. Death is a new birth. I am death. I am often extremely feared, although I wish I was not. Mexican people celebrate me in the most festive way on a special day. That's because they understand my true meaning, a meaning of rebirth. In the heart of darkness, I am thus here to bring good news. For when I close one door, I always open another. So do not concentrate on what is now ending. Keep in mind that it simply had to end, and instead focus on what is about to begin soon. The past is in the past, just leave it there. Embrace what the future keeps in store for you. To resist would only bring you pain. Play it like a phoenix. Accept this transformation you're going through to be reborn, and then spread your wings and soar. So I'm not saying that you're literally going to die. I'm saying that you are experiencing some kind of new start or rebirth, or kind of like, it's like Super Saiyan. Super Saiyan is the way it's coming through. It's like the best version of yourself, right? It's like you are going through an evolution where there is some shedding of the old, right? The caterpillar doesn't have any use for the chrysalis once it becomes a butterfly, right? It leaves it behind. So don't be afraid of leaving the past behind. You feel like you're moving on really well, actually, from something. It feels like that's kind of already happened for you. You know, you're in this evolution process. So really, really cool reading. I want to get you a song and maybe another totem. I mean, I would say owls. Definitely watch out for owls. Absolutely seems very, very significant for you. I don't think anything has ever come through that clearly for a long time. It's like very insistent. So can we get a light bulb moment? Can we lean into that pinprick of light and get some information from that for Libra? I Will Always Be Your Soldier by Mary Bergman. I don't know. It talks to me about sisters. We used to call each other Catherine and Eve. I don't know from where we got those names. We used to love each other with deep intensity. We used to fight with kicks and fists and nails. If I had a dime for every time I've been bad, I'd be a millionaire by now. You used your big sister calm to tease me to tears. I used to pinch you a little bit too hard. On your wrists, on your arms. When you look closely, you can still see the scars. Oh, I've done things so mean and so grim until I'm ashamed to say them out loud. I don't think you get how much I regret, or hear me when I vow that I will always be your soldier. I will be marching by your side. I'm not deserting. I'll be there for you. Oh, please, please believe in this oath of allegiance. 13 years old, lipstick and boys, never knew how lucky I was to have you. The great teenage depression, our domestic civil war. When I think back to you, you were the one to pull me through. Yeah, what it comes down to is that you are the only one who truly understands. Wherever you go, I hope that you know I am at your command. It's really cute. I'm going to cry. I'm like fighting back tears. And I will always be your soldier. I'm not deserting you. I'll be there for you. Please believe in this oath of allegiance. I'm not retreating this time. So I don't know if some of you have lost a sister or some, like a sibling. It says... Baby Dry Your Eye on the album cover. That's a really cute song. Maybe somebody's called Catherine or Eve. Yeah. That's really cute. I'm going to leave it there because I'm going to go and have a cry. It's making me sad that I don't have a sister. Sad times. Yeah, I hope this reading was really, really helpful for you. It was a long one. Again, there was a lot coming through. It felt like a big one. Hey, yo, that's what she said. Take care of yourselves. I will see you again soon. And watch out for owls. Bye, guys.